Good day and welcome everyone on this Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Thank you for joining me live at the presentation of the 3rd Guidon for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I am Ian Ferguson, retired Staff Sergeant Major, having served 41 years with the RCMP. It's an honor for me to be your commentator during this event that is about to start. This national event is taking place in Regina, Saskatchewan at the RCMP Academy. This is a very special location for every member of the force. It's the place where our journey began as police officers. The Academy, also known as Depot, is the oldest division in the RCMP, and it's been here since 1883. This ceremony is very unique as the RCMP is the only active police force in the Commonwealth to have been presented colors by the Sovereign. This new Guidon will be presented today on behalf of His Majesty King Charles III, by His Honor, the Honourable Russ Marasti, the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. Not only is today a very significant historical moment for the RCMP, this year also marks the force's 100th anniversary. I'd like to acknowledge that it's been 1 year since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. I would like to welcome Mr. Bill Perry, who is here as a spectator. Mr. Perry retired from the RCMP with 25 years of service. But 50 years ago, in 1973, he was also part of the Guidon party for the consecration of the 2nd Guidon. As well, present at the event is Mike Dehame, Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, alongside of Afghanistan veterans, RCMP veterans, employees of the RCMP, family and friends. Among the world's police forces, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police is unique in many ways. One distinctive feature is the right granted by the Sovereign to possess and carry a regimental Guidon, upon which are emblazoned honours earned by the force in wartime. The tradition of the British and Commonwealth infantry and cavalry to carry individual regimental flags, known as colours, is derived from the knights of medieval times, who flew their armorial crests on their pennants so that the men-at-arms would know their location on the battlefield and where to rally. Cavalry regiments, other than Guards cavalry, carry swallow-tailed silken colours called guidons. Guidon is derived from the French word guidon, or guideman in English. He was the horseman charged with carrying the regimental banner. When battle honours were added to the colours, they became a record of the military achievements of a regiment and were held in even greater esteem by the members of the regiment. The consecration is seen to add religious significance to the colours, to the regiment, and its honour. As you can see, 4 troops are now on parade and in position. The parade Sergeant Major is Sergeant Major Mike McGinley. He's getting the troops prepared for inspection and performance of the ceremony. The first RCMP Guidon was consecrated in 1935 by the then Governor-General, the Earl of Bessborough. It was retired in 1973 when a new Guidon was consecrated in Regina, Saskatchewan on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the force by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At that time, she was the honorary commissioner of the force. The first one was consequently laid up immediately following that ceremony. So the new Guidon was presented to the RCMP at Depot Division in Regina. And the second one, which will be on parade today, will be laid up in the chapel following today's consecration of the 3rd Guidon. The new Guidon features the RCMP's regimental badge, the King's Royal Cipher, and the abbreviations of the names at various times. We have been known as the Northwest Mounted Police, NWMP, the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, RNWMP, and of course the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada, the RCMP GRC. The troops have been put at open order formation to be inspected shortly by the Commissioner of the Force accompanying the Lieutenant Governor upon his arrival. The Guidon also bears the RCMP's core operational honors indicating the theaters of military and civilian operations in which members served. On your screen now is the old Guidon, the 1973 Guidon, which has been uncased, and it's being carried by Sergeant Major Leilani Collins of Edmonton. The honors that will be emblazoned on the new Guidon include the Northwest Canada 1885 conflict. 8 members were killed in action or died of their wounds. The South African campaign, 1900 to 1902, where 6 members were lost in this campaign. France and Flanders, 1918. Siberia, 1918-1919. The Second World War, of course, 1939 to 1945, where 15 members were killed during the war in all. And of course, Afghanistan, 2003 to 2014, 138 members served during this conflict. I happen to be one of them. The new Guidon also bears the honorary distinction of the Canadian Provo Company badge. My father happened to be a serving member of the Canadian Provo Company. The RCMP Pipes and Drums is present to provide musical accompaniment. The drum major leading that band is Brad Hampson, retired staff sergeant. The commissioned officers are going to take the place in front of their troops that they will be commanding. The 4 troop commanders are being led by the parade adjutant, Superintendent David Hall. Two eagle staves as well have been paraded today. An eagle staff is a unique sacred symbol that represents traditional indigenous culture and clans. It is used at ceremonies and celebratory functions much like the nation's flag would be. The RCMP's National Eagle Staff was first unveiled in March of 2018 at the Odawa Friendship Center in Ottawa. In front of you now on your screen was the national flag. That was carried by Inspector Eric Shepherd of Aboriginal Policing Unit in Ottawa. The Eagle Staff was created to recognize and honor First Nations people on Turtle Island. This initiative is an important step for the RCMP in our reconciliation journey. For First Nations people, the Eagle Staff is the sacred first flag of Turtle Island that holds many different teachings. The second Eagle Staff is carried by Staff Sergeant Brian Kelly of F Division, Saskatchewan. His staff is present and in keeping with the acknowledgement that we are, in fact, on Treaty 4 territory. On your screen now is the parade commander, Chief Superintendent Darren Campbell. Parade Commander, Chief Superintendent Campbell, has ordered that the old Guidon be brought forward and paraded in front of the troops for its final time. The Guidon party consists of 6 warrant officers. This is the rank at which the Guidon should be presented. Guidon may be paraded on specific occasions only, including the Sovereign's birthday, a regimental funeral, a change of command ceremony for the Commissioner, at an RCMP memorial service, or on a ceremonial parade as ordered by the Commissioner. The Guidon can only be paraded by itself or with other military colors. It may not be paraded with other flags or ensigns. The Guidon embodies the honor and sacrifice made of all members of the RCMP and is treated with extreme reverence. It is paid compliments in the form of salutes by all who enter its presence or when it passes on a parade. The only exception is when it is paraded at a funeral, where compliments and salutes are reserved for the deceased. The band is currently playing the regimental march of the RCMP. The Commissioner has assumed his position on the dais. Immediately behind the Commissioner is the commanding officer of Depot Division, who is Chief Superintendent Barras and Muse. They are awaiting the pending arrival of the Lieutenant Governor currently. The Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, Russ Morasti, and his wife, greeted by the Commissioner and the Commissioner's wife. The band is now playing the Royal Salute in favor of the representative, the Sovereign, the Lieutenant Governor. The parade commander is advanced to the commissioner and the lieutenant governor and is reporting the parade and troops in numbers and is now asking if the lieutenant governor would care to inspect the troops, and he has agreed to. You'll notice the lieutenant governor himself is displaying quite a vast array of medals. The lieutenant governor, in fact, for many years was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and upon his retirement he was the commanding officer of F Division, Saskatchewan. This is a bit of a homecoming for the lieutenant governor. While the inspection party moves through the ranks, the band is playing a couple of great old tunes, The Green Hills and The Battle's Over. The members making up the pipe band, in large part, are volunteers from the citizens of Canada. There are 7 pipe bands across the nation, and there are, point of fact, there's very few actual members of the RCMP in those bands, but they do a remarkable job in the communities. In 1973, Superintendent Bill McRae was the parade commander. At his disposal were some very young and eager RCMP recruits, and they drilled significant periods of time, some 2 months, I'm told, in preparation of that parade in 73. The 4 troops on parade you see before you are all volunteer members from all the divisions right across Canada that have come here on their own time to take part in this ceremony.
March up the Guidon! Guidon! Salute!
At this time, the band is playing again the RCMP Regimental March. And for the last time, the 1973 Guidon, the second, the one presented to us by Queen Elizabeth herself, will leave the parade square and be ready to be laid up in the RCMP chapel. Six members of the Guidon party, as I mentioned, are all warrant officers. More specifically, they hold the rank of either Staff Sergeant Major or Sergeant Major. At this time, the troops on parade have been ordered to form a hollow square. A hollow square is the closest thing to a religious facility available when there is no chapel or no church or place of worship. Next, you'll see the drum major move forward into position, and members of the drum corps will advance forward, and they will form an altar of drums. This is done in the field of battle when you are having I shouldn't say informal, but a less than formal service to acknowledge the battle and those wounded or killed in action. As the troops have formed a hollow square, representative of a place of worship, the stack of drums that will take place in front of you now is representative of an altar. The drummers will return to their positions in the band, and the altar is now complete. The new Guidon is now ready for its main phase. It's currently encased in a sleeve. The Guidon will be uncased, brought forward, draped across the drums, and then the religious partners will perform the consecration. The new Guidon is being carried by Corps Sergeant Major Al McCambridge. He himself has over 40 years of service in the RCMP.
Officers will replace swords. Replace swords. Parade will remove headdress. Remove headdress. Parade standard.
The troop members on parade, in a sign of respect and reverence, have removed their headdress. There is some movement permitted when they're in the standing at ease position and standing easy. The parade adjutant, Superintendent Hall, has retrieved the new Guidon from the Corps Sergeant Major. Coming forward is the Guidon orderly, who will remove the encasement. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our third Guidon in all its splendor. Superintendent Hall has placed the Guidon staff adjacent to the drums and draped the Guidon across, in effect, the altar for the consecration. A bit of logistics while the microphones are brought forward. So the religious partners can use this to project their consecration.
For as much as we understand that throughout our collective history, men and women have made for themselves signs and emblems of their allegiance to rulers and of their duty to uphold the laws and institutions that they willingly swear to obey. We, remembering how the unfailing light of the North Star has always directed people to safety, now follow our historic custom. We gather today in our square to consecrate and to dedicate this Guidon, which shall become our guide. Relying on every help available to each of us, in whatever our personal or collective state of life may be, we ask that this Guidon might never be unfurled, save in the cause of righteousness and injustice, and that those who sincerely follow this beacon might be led always from danger to safety and from distress to the sweetness of peace.
Let us pause for a moment of solemn reflection. We, chaplains of the force, stand here today as representatives of each member who shall look upon this Guidon. Without fear, favor, or affection, we commit ourselves to stand alongside that long line of men and women who shall follow in the shadow of this standard. In our position of service to the force and all those who support it, we commit to carry out the task of the consecration of the Guidon. We call upon the strength of our traditions, both personal and collective, as we go about this revered task.
We are taught that nobody destined to lead can ever do so without having first understood what it means to follow. We therefore consider how this Guidon must become for us a reminder of our proud traditions, which have taught us to be men and women of honesty and integrity, of courage and respect. May the same noble desires that both strengthen our King and inspire even the smallest among us be awakened. May this Guidon enkindle within us a desire not to seek our own interests, but to be drawn forward toward our common good. May the emblem be a reminder to follow always along the path of justice, just as those men and women before us have done, even when it cost them everything.
We acknowledge that under this Guidon, we are called to move as a single body, united together throughout our Commonwealth by those governments and leaders who strengthen the unity of our collective mission. May their service remind us of the legacy of sacrifice demonstrated by those who gave fully of themselves for others. On this, our Memorial Weekend, let us give this emblem its proper due and look for it to remain a symbol of our desire to give without counting the cost and to fight without ever heeding the wounds.
We pause now to affirm our commitment to the task at hand. Au service de tout ce qui est bon, juste et sacré, to the service of all that is good and righteous and sacred, we dedicate ourselves afresh. À la préservation de l'honneur et à la quête du maintien du droit, to the preservation of honor and the quest to maintain the right, we dedicate ourselves afresh. À la protection de tous ceux que nous croisons et ceux qui ont besoin de notre aide, to the protection of all those who cross our paths and each one who seeks our assistance, we dedicate ourselves afresh. À la conservation continue de notre mission partagée pour l'ordre naturel et pour un gouvernement juste, to the ongoing conservation of our shared mission, the natural order, and of good government, we dedicate ourselves afresh.
To the revered and venerable memory of our comrades, whose courage and endurance add undying luster to our emblem, we dedicate our Guidon. In continued remembrance of our solemn oaths and in token of our resolve to faithfully and truly keep them to the end, we dedicate our Guidon.
Right, attention!
Nous demandons de recevoir toute aide qui peut nous être donnée. Nous revendiquons la présence de toute force parmi nous alors que nous consacrons et élevons ce guidon. Que ce guidon soit le symbole de notre devoir envers notre roi et notre pays devant tout ce qui est vénéré. We call upon every help offered to us. We ask that every power available might be present as we do consecrate and set apart this guidon, that it may be a sign of our duty toward our King and our country in the sight of all that is revered. Let us pause and allow silence to descend upon this square.
May our words and actions today be witness to this solemn occasion. Let what we have consecrated and dedicated for the force be venerated also, with the respect deserving of what it represents. Let all who follow this Guidon be strengthened and emboldened, and may they be filled with confidence in the shared mission that we profess. May each of us demonstrate self-control in the hour of our success, patience in the time of adversity, and may their only honor we seek be that in knowing we do what is right.
Let those who have called each of you to your post give to you the required aid to help execute your solemn duty. Be strong and serene in the mission you have undertaken, and find courage in the midst of trial and steadfast peace in the midst of change. May a spirit of wisdom and of fortitude descend upon those gathered here, and may each find within themselves whatever is most solid and profound, so that as individuals and as a force, we may go always from strength to strength.
Right, attention! Right, we'll replace that drill.
The four chaplains providing the consecration prayers were Chaplains Burwell, Melvin, Parnes, and Belanger. Chaplain Belanger had the array of medals on his chest. He is also a former member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The honor song was kindly provided to us by Elder Evan Whitestar. The consecration has finished, and the parade adjutant has retrieved the guidon. The passing of the guidon from the Lieutenant Governor to the Commissioner sanctifies the awarding of the guidon to the force from the Sovereign's representative.
Guidon party! To the Guidon! Hello!
The Commissioner has returned the guidon to the Corps Sergeant Major, who has taken his place. The 1st and 4th troops are now returning to squad formation, having left the formation of Hollow Square. drummers will now retrieve their drums from the altar and dismantle it. The parade commander, the officers commanding the troops, and all members not on parade witnessing this occasion just saluted the new Guidon.
Right one dance and read the order. By the center. Quick! March!
Parade is now advancing as an acknowledgement to the Lieutenant Governor and the Commissioner. And in essence, this is the first time the new Guidon has in fact been paraded.
Right! Turn! Right! Up! In! That is
Commissioner Wim, RCMP officers, members, employees, veterans, families, and friends. Good afternoon, bonjour, tanse, totemitig minanawako magantik. I reach out my hand to each and every one of you. Donna and I are honored to join you on these grounds here in Treaty 4 territory and homeland of the Métis for this momentous occasion. I am here as the Crown's representative for Saskatchewan, but in my heart I have to admit that as a former member, this ceremony is especially meaningful to me and my family. On behalf of our sovereign, King Charles III, and the people of Saskatchewan, I offer a warm welcome to everyone, and especially those who have traveled from outside the province. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to represent the Crown as we mark the 150th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the presentation of its 3rd Regimental Guidon. Before she passed, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II approved the new honors to be dedicated today. The 3rd Guidon will acknowledge the role of members in Afghanistan from 2003 to 2014, as well as reflecting other changes that have been made. To all who served during this period, thank you for your outstanding service during a difficult time. It is fitting that your contributions are being acknowledged and recognized today. To all veterans of the force, I extend my sincere appreciation for your service, and to the families, thank you so much for your never-ending and much-needed support. 50 years ago, on these very parade grounds, Queen Elizabeth II oversaw the last such event. She was pleased to celebrate the RCMP centennial and the consecration of the 2nd Regimental Guidon, because, as it is well known, she loved Canada and she loved her Mounties. On July 4th, 1973, here at Depot, the late Queen said, there are police forces all over the world, but none has acquired the fame and reputation of Canada's Mounties, end of quote. We can all take pride in this celebrated legacy. The RCMP status as a Canadian cultural icon and the significant milestone of a century and a half of distinguished service. Personally, while serving with the RCMP for over 36 years, I was fortunate to meet and work with Canadians in every province and territory across this great and vast country. I am particularly proud and grateful of how the force has served and continued to contribute to diverse communities throughout our nation, from the most rural and remote locations to large urban centers. The RCMP continues to safeguard Canadians, persevering through ever-changing challenges. And I would like to acknowledge the dedication and commitment of members and employees of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police who serve and protect Canadians from coast to coast to coast each and every day. And as you look after us, I sincerely hope that you would look after yourselves. In May, after the coronation, Dawn and I had the privilege of meeting His Majesty at Buckingham Palace. The King was very pleased to be named the RCMP's new Commissioner-in-Chief, following in the footsteps of his mother. He was also happy and grateful with the gifts he received from Commissioner Duhem on behalf of the RCMP. The ties between the royal family and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police obviously continue to be very important, and rightfully so. In closing, I am pleased to bring greetings on behalf of His Majesty King Charles III, King of Canada, and the Commissioner-in-Chief of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on such a momentous occasion. In the spirit of reconciliation, friendship, and to acknowledge the ongoing relationship of the force with Indigenous peoples, I would like to share these greetings in my first language of Woodland Cree. Nemedwe-18, kitapita matagaw tamiskato, and gitsogama, said Charles Nisto, kigitsogama mino, utagitaskino, Canada. Kanaskomit now, though. I am very grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you. It is a great honor to be here along with His Honor, the Right Honorable Ross Morasti, Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, for this important historic event. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 4 territory, which is the traditional territory of the Nihi Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and formerly Blackfoot. I also acknowledge the traditional homeland of the Métis. Nous rendons hommage aux nombreux hommes et femmes des Premières Nations, Métis et Inuits, qui ont fait ou ont fait partie de la GRC à titre, entre autres, de guides, d'éclaireurs, d'interprètes, de gendarmes spéciaux, de membres réguliers et dont les contributions ont été et continuent d'être inestimables. En cette année du 150e anniversaire de la GRC, il est particulièrement important de revenir sur les éléments de notre histoire que nous portons en nous. La bénédiction prononcée plus tôt mentionne expressément la force de nos traditions. The traditional symbols and protocols at formal occasions like this one tend to raise a few questions. Why did we need a guidon? Why has the cipher changed? Why does the police service follow military traditions? Regimental flags actually go all the way back from medieval times, when knights would fly crests on their pennants to show rally points and battle locations. The British infantry and cavalry came to adopt this practice even outside of battles, using the regimental banner to inspire respect and esprit de corps among those it represents. This certainly speaks to its current use within the RCMP as a sacred symbol of our history and accomplishments. This is only our third Guidon in 150 years. So we have seized the opportunity to make some changes that better reflect who we are and what we represent. Pour la première fois, les lettres GRC figurent maintenant à côté de RCMP sur le guidon afin de reconnaître le bilinguisme qui a toujours fait partie de notre identité. Même les premières recrues de la police à cheval du Nord-Ouest devraient être capables de lire et écrire en anglais ou en français. Et notre organisation comptait de nombreux membres francophones unilingues. Nous avons donc été les premiers organismes fédéraux véritablement bilingues de l'histoire du Canada. Our first Guidon displayed 4 battle honors: Southwest Canada, South Africa, France and Flanders, and Siberia. In 1957, an honorary distinction was added for the service of the No. 1 Provo Company during the Second World War. 5 years ago, when our second Guidon was consecrated, the distinction was replaced by a more general Europe 1939 to 1945. Our new Guidon restores this distinction to No. 1 Provo Company, and it adds a core operational honor to account the RCMP's contribution to the war efforts both at home and abroad. Today's RCMP has moved away from actual combat towards federal and contract policing here in Canada and doing our part in building institutions in many countries abroad afflicted by countries in unrest. And so our new Guidon confers honors for our efforts in Afghanistan from 2003 and 2014, where nearly 300 police officers were deployed alongside military personnel and diplomats. Over 130 of these officers were serving members of the RCMP who trained and mentored their counterparts in the Afghan National Police. The changing royal cipher also marks an evolution as we move from King George V cipher on our first Guidon to Queen II on our second, and now King Charles III, the RCMP's Commissioner-in-Chief. It is powerful to see these new elements come together on the Guidon. They acknowledge our significant contribution around the world while also reminding us how much we have changed. One thing I know for sure is that we're not the same RCMP we were 5 or 10 years ago. We've been focused on modernizing our operations and our workplace culture, modeling values that belong in all public institutions, in law enforcement, and beyond. Même la bénédiction prononcée à la consécration d'aujourd'hui se voulait délibérément plus inclusif pour reconnaître et respecter la diversité croissante à la GRC. Des cérémonies comme celle-ci nous permettent de réfléchir aux symboles qui nous définissent. Elles nous donnent l'occasion de revenir sur toutes les leçons que nous avons apprises et de nous demander comment nous pouvons mieux servir les gens et les communautés, tant à l'intérieur qu'à l'extérieur de la GRC. Chaque employé a un rôle à jouer dans la réforme de l'organisation. Il faut travailler ensemble pour s'assurer d'être un service de police respectueux et efficace, et aujourd'hui même et pour les nombreuses années à venir. I know without a doubt that together we will meet the needs of modern Canada and a changing world. I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight a veteran who's with us today, who was part of the 1973 unveil of the Guidon. Mr. Perry, who's 91 years old. He was here when the second Guidon was given to the organization, who's sitting right off to the right over there. Mr. Perry, if you can stand up. I'll also be remiss if I didn't mention three key individuals who actually made this happen. In front of me, Chief Superintendent Darren Campbell, with the help of Superintendent Dave Hall and the help of retired Assistant Commissioner Graham Muir, who through their leadership and efforts made that we've changed the Guidon here. This is because of them and the team behind them that we're here today to celebrate this. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for taking a leadership role. I'm so grateful to RCMP employees and veterans for their service over these 150 years. Our new Guidon truly embodies the honor and sacrifice of all our members and our great pride in today's RCMP. Thank you very much.
Right will march past in review order. Advance from the right in troop column.
The parade commander has given the command to the troops, in essence the entire parade, that they will march off in review order. The troops will follow the band. They will get arranged in troop columns. And the second time around the parade square, they will pay the compliments to the Lieutenant Governor and the Commissioner. The band starts off by playing the RCMP Regimental March. As previously said, the majority of the band members are not, in fact, members of the RCMP. They are volunteers from the various communities across Canada, and I can't thank them enough for what they do for us in community policing. The next tune the band is playing is the Maple Leaf Forever. well over 60,000 men and women of this country have seen service in the RCMP, and I venture a guess that every one of them has paraded at one time or another on this very square. Some in Ottawa, but the vast majority of them here in Regina. If any of the viewers or listeners today are interested in a career in the force, I invite you to go to the RCMP website at rcmp-grc.gc.ca for career opportunities. The drum major is saluting the LG and the commissioner on behalf of the entire members of the band, because it would appear they're a little bit busy right now. That concludes the presentation of the 3rd Guidon for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking time out of your day to observe this auspicious occasion, and enjoy the rest of your day.
chaplains, and faith leaders, I have been commended by the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to inform the authorities of this chapel that he has prepared here today with the old Guidon of the regiment and proffers a request that it be deposited herein.
May the Commissioner be informed that every facility will be afforded him in executing his most laudable purpose. Que le commissaire soit avisé que toute aide lui sera accordée dans l'exécution de cette corvée des plus louables.
Please be seated. It is my great honor to welcome each of you to this historic chapel on the grounds of Depot Division. As the oldest building in Regina, this space was dedicated 128 years ago, first as an Anglican chapel. This sanctuary, nevertheless, serves today as a place of meditation, of sacred silence and devotion for those of every tradition and faith and creed, as equally as it does for those who profess no adherence or religious belief at all. This building has been called the soul of the RCMP, and each of you gathered here today is, with every act of charity that we can provide as chaplains, completely welcome within these hallowed walls. At this moment, we pause to recognize the presence of Sarah Fallman, who is a member of the Métis Nation. It's my honor to bring her forward for an acknowledgement and an introductory prayer.
Tanshe, bon après-midi. Sarah Dishkanashun. My name is Sarah. Ma parente c'est le dégelé, le cardinal, le fayon, le recette, le hermet, pele pelche. The Capel Valley de Shun, Regina Neweekend, and Machif Nia. As a proud member of Métis Nation with roots near here, it is my honor to gather with each of you on this important occasion. I am proud to be part of today's ceremonies, to recognize the important contribution that the RCMP have made to our national story. On this day and on these grounds, which have long been a place of veneration for the Métis people, we are now bold enough to acknowledge the struggles both the Northwest and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have had with Indigenous peoples. Yet, in these ceremonies, which recognize the past and look to the future, we commit ourselves to working for positive change. We ask that everything we've done today and all that shall occur may be a source of healing for not only those of the Métis Nation, but also the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, who have long considered this their homeland. I ask that today and this whole weekend be blessed for everyone, and that all those traditions that the RCMP cherish might both inspire men and women of all heritage to struggle for justice when there is need to do what is right whenever there is occasion. Namiatan and Nikshtan. And so, I offer a blessing from my Métis tradition. Marci Creator, pour nush, pour kiena famille, pour kiena amis, pour kiena santi, pour le Père, Marci Creator, en notre Père, à defes à la Sainte, à la Swiss Church.
Thank you. Having just consecrated the new Guidon in our parade square, we've now come to the traditional laying up ceremony for the retired Guidon. We gather to honor an emblem that was not simply a piece of cloth, but has become a symbol of unity and strength and a commitment to maintain the right. As we prepare to recognize its years of service, it's important to reflect upon the innumerable times that the Guidon has been unfurled, during parades of major consequence, at our most sacred and solemn times in moments of great joy, as well as periods of intense sadness. The Guidon has been a companion, it's served as a source of inspiration, and it has remained an ongoing witness to the sacrifices made by men and women who have marched before us. May today's ceremony provide an opportunity to reflect on those ideals, those which have bound the force together for the last 150 years. May our singularity of focus, symbolized by the Guidon itself, show us with clarity the ongoing need for unity in our values and principles that will strengthen not only our force, but our nation as well. Thank you for being a part of this important occasion. I now invite Chaplain Rabbi Jeremy Parnes forward to read from his religious scriptures.
A reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up from planting. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace.
His Honor, Your Honor, Sir, Ma'am, honored guests, honored employees, honored members here today, I want to thank you for the privilege of being able to serve you at this service. The magnitude of this service isn't lost on me. The significance isn't lost on me. We have an incredible privilege to be part of history, to be part of the history of our organization. A history that was built on the backs and the lives of many men and women over the years, their families, their loved ones, and that we carry forward into the future. Many people in this room are part of that history and have been a significant part of the change of that history. The Guidon was brought to Depot to be paraded at memorial services in the early 1990s. Sergeant Major retired Sandy Mahone was the first Sergeant Major to parade the Guidon for a memorial service at Depot. And Chaplain Alan Higgs, who is with us here today, was the key champion to bringing it to Depot. His wife was also the one who created and designed our altar at the chapel. The history in this organization is deep and significant. The Guidon has a rich and revered history with the force as a marker for the various seasons of service we have provided to our nation and the world. Today we have an important task, the task of laying up this Guidon and concluding its service, its season of service, and consecrating the new Guidon that will now serve for the coming years. The Guidon calls us to reflect back and to remember who we are and what we have accomplished as a regiment. As was spoken earlier, the first RCMP Guidon was consecrated in 1935. It was retired in 1973. The new one was commissioned and approved for King Charles III. The Guidon is emblazoned with the royal cipher of His Majesty King Charles III, King of Canada and Commissioner-in-Chief of the RCMP. It bears our names as we have evolved as a regiment: the Northwest Mounted Police, the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, the RCMP GRC. The Guidon also bears the RCMP Corps' honors and operational honors indicated in the theaters of military and civilian operations in which members served: Northwest Canada, South Africa, France and Flanders, Siberia, the Second World War, Canada Provost Corps, Afghanistan. The Guidon is a symbol rich in history and a testimony to the resilience of this regiment, to the change and the diversity of our country, our culture, and the world as it is also changed and diversified. From our earliest beginnings, we broke from tradition to create a more inclusive membership. We are a regiment, and the RCMP is an organization which is made up of unique individuals. And we believed from the formation of this regiment that anyone who became a member could aspire to any rank. This regiment is defined and enhanced by the people who serve in it. Our history is also complex. The evolution of any institution through the fluid dynamics of cultural shift, diversity in policing, operational and organizational renovations, they also cause us to pause and wonder what the challenges of tomorrow will be, and will we have the resources and the resolution to meet them with the resilience that we've had over the last 150 years. I would suggest from the reading that Rabbi Parnes provided to us that we can rest assured in an understanding that for everything there is a season and a determined purpose under heaven. What I find unique about the passage in Ecclesiastes are the absolutes of each statement: a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to reap, a time to lament and a time to cheer. What is not expressed, though I believe it is implicit in the teacher's narrative, is the space in between the ordained systems of life and how we engage with them. There's a verse that's often shared at funerals, and though this isn't a funeral, it is a laying up or an ending of something. The poem is from a poem called The Dash. The verse reads as follows: I read of a reverend who stood to speak at the funeral of his friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone from beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of his birth, and he spoke the date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that he spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. When I reflect upon the dash, the season that our Guidon has had from 1973 to 2023, I ask the question, what is the line or the dash between 1973 and 2023 worth? As we reflect upon the ending of one season within our regiment it is important to recognize the space between the consecration of this Guidon and the laying up of the same, while anticipating that a new season will ensue, challenging us to engage with it and bring meaning and purpose to what is to come. We have this in our past, and we need to create it for our future. I believe we could effectively argue that the changes faced by the RCMP over the last 50 years are exponentially greater than probably the previous 100 years combined. Think of technology, and some in this room will remember mimeographs, handwritten forms, and we've gone from there to emails. We've gone to VoIP. We've gone to MS Teams. Consider the first Motorola's launch of their portable cell phone in 1973. Did you know that it only weighed a mere 2.4 pounds? We've gone from that to cell phones that carry more computing and communication power than all the computers used to send Apollo 11 to the moon. We can find our members any given time through ATAC and other technologies that we use. The world's technological capacity to store information has grown exponentially. In 1986, we grew from 2.6 exabytes, and most of us won't know what those are because we're over 30, to over 5 zettabytes in 2014. That's the equivalent of 4,500 printed books going from Earth to the sun, and the capacity is only growing. Instantaneous global communications at your fingertips. We've come a long way from the party line many of us had as kids. Think of the sociological changes. Support for legalization of marijuana in 1973 was less than 6%. Do you know what it was in 2018? Close to 70%. From women being accepted into the RCMP in 1974 as police officers to being key leaders and change makers for our regiment. Reconciliation and diversity. 1973, the RCMP established the Native Special Constable Program to recruit more Indigenous members, and we continue to progress in the diversity and strength of our RCMP family. We started with 150 recruits in 1873. We have well over 30,000 staff, including a range of police officers, public servants, and public service employees, civilian members. The RCMP is recognized around the world for its policing excellence and iconic Mountie image. Now the organization opens its doors to everyone who has a passion to serve, regardless of gender orientation or ethnicity. We are changing. Organizational and operational changes have also ensued, and what can we say about them? Because not only has this technology helped and benefited us, but it has also benefited the world around us. It has also enhanced criminal activity, which we've had to adapt to. The truth is that our finest moments are most likely to occur when we are feeling deeply uncomfortable, unhappy, or even unfulfilled. For it is only in such moments propelled by our discomfort that we are likely to step out of our ruts and to start searching for different ways or truer answers to our challenging problems. Our Guidon's dash reflects such an incredible exponential growth and change. We must realize that this is a season that Solomon was portraying, the season Solomon was portraying are not confined by duration. Time can be measured in seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years. Therefore, what we experience can stay for a short period of time or last longer than we anticipate. The more important issue is how we will respond to the seasons of life we find ourselves in, or as an organization that we find ourselves in. Between stimulus and response, says Viktor Frankl, there is space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. What season are you in now? I would encourage you to dress accordingly and to endure or enjoy, as the case may be. The dash in the midst of our Guidon's life and history is because of the service and the impartation of each member and person in this room and in our organization. I believe it's an honorable one that has sought to keep up with the time, to work in the midst of the changes that we are experiencing, and to be the change we want to see in our communities. Therefore, I encourage each person to respect each other's seasons and receive your own, trusting that the Lord will preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. One of the many ways we'll embrace this season of life and honor the Guidon as we lay it up is to remember and to celebrate our role individually and corporately in this, and the role of the force and as what it has had in our province, our country, and our world. So on behalf of myself and the civilians that I would like to say I represent, thank you for being the dash in the years we have served under this Guidon. Your services are not in vain. They will never be in vain. You have been and are a difference maker for the good. And I pray that we'll continue to have the strength as we serve under the new Guidon to keep those ideals and those values front and center. Thank you again for the privilege of being able to serve in this organization as a chaplain, and thank you for the privilege of being able to serve you today. I'd like to ask that we take a few moments as you reflect on your part in the dash of this Guidon, and as we reflect on the song that will be played in the coming moments.
I
before laying up of the Guidon, we pause to bring our heart's desires and petitions to light. Que nos désirs les plus profonds soient exaucés et que nos inquiétudes silencieuses puissent être résolues. The response to the petition is, let it graciously be heard.
We remember our king, our political, civil, and religious leaders. We recall those who lead us within the force and those to whom we have professed to follow, that they may be given courage and perseverance to continue diligently in their service. We offer this petition.
Let it graciously be heard.
We remember all those who work with and for the force, in whichever capacity and in whatever function, that they may be protected from harm, given the resources they need to flourish, and always find support among friends and colleagues. We offer this petition.
Let it graciously be heard.
We remember those who bear the weight of pain and hardship. May they find solace and healing in their darkest hours. Let the sick, the injured, and the afflicted be granted strength and resilience to overcome their trials. May they find comfort in the compassionate and caring arms of their comrades. We offer this petition.
Let it graciously be heard.
We remember those who have departed from our midst, leaving behind cherished memories and a legacy of their own. We honor their lives, their contributions, and the impact they had on our world. At this time, let our hearts be made aware of those who are in grief and mourning, that they find healing in the loving memories they hold dear and obtain comfort and consolation. We offer this petition.
Let it graciously be heard.
With deep gratitude, we acknowledge the service of the Guidon that today we retire. It has been a beacon of strength and inspiration, guiding us through the decades with faithful service. We give thanks for the sacrifices of those who have carried it with honor and dedication. Though this season has ended, may what it stood for live on within those who proudly serve within the force. We offer this petition.
Let it graciously be heard. We are gathered in this chapel to lay up the Guidon of the RCMP. And we come now to that moment. No more fitting place could be found wherein to deposit these emblems of duty and service than in this sacred space where praise and petition are wont to be made. Avant l'armement du Guidon, nous reconnaissons qu'il n'existe pas de lieu plus propice dans lequel nous pourrions déposer ces emblèmes de service que cette chapelle, où nous sommes rassemblés, lieu où éloges et requêtes sont prononcés. To this end, we release the Guidon of its duty. J'invite maintenant l'aumônier de la division dépôt à la GRC à s'avancer. I now invite the chaplain of the RCMP depot, Chaplain Father Jeffrey Burwell, to come forward for the proclamation.
It is recognized that on the 4th day of July, 1973, in the presence of Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, whose one-year anniversary of passing we acknowledge today, this Guidon was duly dedicated and consecrated for the force in a ceremony that took place in the parade square outside these walls. This consecration has been in effect until the present date, and the Guidon has faithfully served in its role for 50 years, 2 months, and 4 days. Today, by official proclamation, we state that under my authority as chaplain of Depot Division, and in the presence of those chaplains of the force from across the nation, this consecration is hereby revoked, and the once proud emblem, though dedicated once for sacred use, is no longer set apart. We do therefore remit this guidon of its status and permit it to be used for any lawful and reputable purpose, including its public display and its ongoing veneration as an historical artifact. This declaration, publicly proclaimed before witnesses here in the RCMP chapel in Regina, Saskatchewan, is given under my hand on the 8th day of September in the year 2023. Please stand for our national and royal anthems.
Alors que notre célébration tire à sa fin, nous reconnaissons que nous avons exécuté le devoir qui nous a été confié. Respectueusement, nous nous séparons maintenant de ce guidon, tout en reconnaissant que le service qu'il nous a rendu s'est maintenant éteint. Que l'unité de but et de mission qu'il symbolisait si clairement puisse continuer à nous fortifier et nous inspirer. May its legacy deepen our bonds and lead us to unity of words and actions, and may the values and principles it symbolized continue to strengthen both our force and our nation. Ce fut un honneur d'être avec vous en ce lieu tant estimé, et maintenant, avec cœur joyeux, prenons notre partance. It has been an honor to be with each of you in this place. Now, with hearts filled with joy and gratitude, let us take our leave.